All right. Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another edition of our weekly podcast. I don't know whether you know this or not, but you can also see us live on video. We are 2.5 handsome guys. And I don't know whether, Nick, I'm referring to you only being half handsome or half sized. Not sure.
Okay. Well, you looked at me when you said that, so I'm just gonna move on this morning.
If the shoe fits.
You know what?
I'll accept it.
That's always the best advice. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate everybody joining us today. A little sneak peek at what we got coming up today. Of course, we got Todd Bernard in the house going to give us a look at the numbers. Matt Baker's going to give us our mortgage minute. And Todd, I'm going to talk about 3 areas that what we should be learning about, things that they don't teach us in real estate school, kind of like how to do real estate. And then we have one of our top producers, Angela Williams, here. She's going to share her secrets to success. I went through her slides, some really good stuff. So you're going to want to stick around for that. As always, if you got any comments or questions, please email us at webinar@westusa.com, and we will get back to you in the next 6 months. All right, let's jump into easy there, Todd. Don't choke on that coffee.
Yeah.
All right.
Service failure.
All right, let's jump right into announcements. All right, we are tomorrow. React is back in action. These sessions are going to be held on Zoom. So this is your opportunity to learn a lot about the technology that we offer, or some of the technology out there, such as your iFound Agent website, your mobile apps, transaction desk training, and digital marketing with Keith Flynn on day 3. As always, all of our events can be found on the West USA calendar. Just go to your dashboard and you're pointing at
I know,
me.
I keep, because I want to say something. The schedule changed for React for this week. Keith and I had to flip-flop. I had a scheduling conflict come up. So we had a lot of people looking for more information on the mobile app, which is awesome. That will be Thursday. That's this Thursday, the 6th at 9 a.m. Keith Flynn will be doing tomorrow at 1 to 3.
All right. You stop it. You're stressing me out.
I didn't know that was the thing. This is a lot of fun for me now.
I know, wow.
Be joy if you're watching us on. How do they find us on video?
They just go to the webinar and they can log in and they can see the camera. They can make it a lot bigger and they can see our faces.
All right. So the surprise office meeting is coming up tomorrow from 10 to 11:30, featuring Kyle Fouts, and Nick's going to be there as well. That must be your scheduling conflict.
No, actually, I have something else in the afternoon. I have a lot of things. I'm very, very popular, except they've got my title wrong on that flyer. But
what does it say?
Vice President.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
They forgot the important part.
Oh, I don't know what that is. All right, we got some more classes coming up. How to cut deals in a high interest rate environment. So this is good stuff. So that is coming up Wednesday from 10 to 12 p.m. That is going to be at our Mesa office. All right, our Arrowhead office meeting is coming up with Dan Benson and Dwayne Faust this Thursday from 10 to 11:30. And as a reminder, it doesn't matter which office you hold your license out of, you can attend any of these events. And then we got our next wealth building class, or in our wealth building series, coming up in a couple weeks. Just specific things that you can do to double your production in 12 months. They are proven strategies. So if you're looking to double your production, increase production, you want to make sure that you attend that. And then this morning, Nick and I are going to be doing our agent orientation. For those of you that are newer to West USA, or you've been around here for many years and you have no idea we have a mobile app.
Or health insurance.
Or health insurance.
There you go.
Hashtag Brock. So that is coming up this morning from 10:30 to 12 p.m. Again, not too late to sign up for that. Just hop on your dashboard. All right. And then, of course, every Monday afternoon, Don't Do That with Bob Stevens. And I just want to give a big shout out to Bob if he's listening this weekend. Saturday evening about 7 o'clock, I had a broker question and called the broker hotline number, and I got Bob, and we had a great conversation. It was great. So thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. All right, Todd, take it away. What do we got?
Great. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going over the market statistics for the week ending April 3rd. Let's take a look and see what's on 72 days closed on market. There we go. 1.89 months supply, 52.81 absorption rate. Our average list price is at $787,000. Our average sale price at $525,000. Average list price to sale price retention sitting at 97.45. Inventory is continuing to shrink, 14,291. Pending is up 4,301, and closed units for the month to date 7,547. Looking at new listings, this is the problem. 1,683 new listings is all we took this past week. This is not going to cut it. Inventory is going to go away unless we basically can take some more listings. This is a huge issue. Maybe come from a perspective of what is the seller. Why are the sellers maybe not listing at this moment? Because quite honestly, this is the time that sellers do put their houses on the marketplace to get a jump on the summer months. So let's see what's going on. Under 500,000, 53.65 of the entire MLS inventory. Under a million, 500 to a million, sitting at 32.5, and $1 million priced homes and up. About 14% of the market. That's really strong. There's a lot of homes that fit that category now. Looking at the spreadsheet across the board, the 1683, as I mentioned before, just isn't doing it. 1857 last week was bad enough. Slide your eyes to the right. 2,200 listings we took last year, and then 2,157, almost 2,200 the year before. There's no reason that we should not have 2,000, 2,200. We can sustain maybe at 22, providing the pending units don't overly increase buyers in the marketplace. But that inventory of 14,291 is made up of 523 coming soon properties, 11,224 single family detached, 2,735. There's a contraction, as you can tell by red. There's a contraction in each one of these categories right now. Nothing's helping us make it up. 14,238 is the non-distressed inventory. Way over on the left-hand side, you'll see that represents 99.6% of the entire inventory, which then again means that there's very little, if no, growth to the distressed marketplace. Looking at pending, 4,301 up again. This is a trend. This is good. Slide your eyes to the right. 4,900 people in escrow at any one time last year. 2 years ago, 5,800. Stay tuned later today for the month-end market stats for the month of March, and I'm going to take you through all the actual changes for the month of March. It's going to be a good presentation. Month supply sitting at 1.89. That's good. That's up a little bit. Remember, we want to be 2.5 to basically 3, somewhere in that category. But when you're looking at a 0.59 last year, half a month supply, there's a little bit of a sweet spot. Taking a look at the average list price, $787. That's high. That's because, again, taking a look at what's been added to the inventory just in this past week, divided by the number of units is 787. 525 is the average sale price. Look to the right. Last week it was 547. So there's, just again, a further proof the market didn't just dive $22,000. This is just one of those scenarios that's just based on what has sold. So we keep an eye on the average rather than the median. 72 days on market, that's okay. I'm glad it's coming down. We were as high as 78 days. We should be about 70. And then final list price to sale price retention, 97.45. The sellers are giving just a little bit, 97.8 historical. Look at that, 101% of the average sale price last year in both categories in the year before. We're only sitting at 97.45. That means the sellers are, okay, let's make sure we understand this. They are negotiating. 97. This is before concessions. This is before the concessions section of your contract. Mike, those are the numbers. That's what's going on. Stay tuned for the month-end numbers a little bit later today.
All right. Appreciate it, Todd, as always. All right. We're going to bring in Matt Baker into the conversation. Matt, good morning. I know you're remote today. How are things going, buddy?
Morning. Good morning. I'm in Miami, Florida today. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, and we can see you.
It just goes to show you how much I love you that I flew on the red eye and I'm still on this call. Looking forward to seeing you guys bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So just glad to be with you. And if you can see, rates have actually ticked up, an improvement over the last 7 days, which is a good sign. Even with the OPEC news this morning, most people ask, oh, is that going to drive inflation higher and is that causing rates to be higher? Well, we're not seeing that as of yet. So we'll, truth be seen in the next week or so. But good news from a rate front. But I did want to talk to you today about inflation. So go to the next slide. And I kind of always use that adage as like my crystal ball is always a little foggy. Well, it might be clearing up a little bit. And the reason it's clearing up is that we know without a shadow of a doubt that inflation makes up 43% of the CPI number. And the latest apartment list rent number actually showed down 2.6%. So we're actually at 3% on this chart. If you can see, shelter costs is like the purple line, and blue line is actually the CPI number. Well, the CPI number, which makes up 43% of the CPI, is actually still rising, because what it does is it looks at a 12-month rolling average. So you look at that huge purple spike and then the swoop back down. That's actually a soon to be rolling out. So you can see, if you just kind of look back at like the last 6-month sections, you can see how it's rising, but the last year we've actually been coming down. And so the reason I say the crystal ball is less foggy is that you're going to start to see that shelter number come in, and they're actually calculated it for us. If you look at the top right of the screen, the difference between where we believe it is like actually versus what that 12-month average is, there's about a 2% haircut. So that means that inflation's really not at 5.6 on the core. It's at 3. I'm sorry, 5.5. It's at 3.6.
Hey, Matt.
It's really quite amazing.
Hey, Matt, I don't want to make any assumptions here. Can you just describe and explain exactly what the CPI number is?
Yes. So CPI stands for Consumer Price Index. It is the inflation number that the Fed uses. That's your inflation. That's the number they report monthly on what your cost. What's that number, and what inflation is you have too many dollars with too few goods. So that's inflation at its simplest, and the CPI number is the inflation number.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure that everybody was on the same page, and you just weren't throwing out acronyms just to impress.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I try to sound really smart sometimes, and so. But here's the deal: you can never time the market, right? And so when you think about, well, where's the opportunity? I mean, the first-time home buyer, in my mind, is the opportunity. And as you can see in Todd's numbers, they're still offering some seller concessions. So there's still an opportunity for these first-time home buyers. But guess what? As rates come down, the buyers come back, more and more buyers come back into the market. It's going to be that much harder for a first-time home buyer to get seller concessions. So now is really the opportunity. And, again, if you think that inflation is going to be lower May, July, August, as it comes through, well, and rates do dip back into the 4s and 5s, that's going to be really difficult for a first-time home buyer who really needs seller concession right now in order to buy a house. And we're doing a lot of transactions for first-time home buyers with seller concessions. And again, they can always refinance later, but now's really the opportunity for them in the market. So that's really where I think the next opportunity is for us. And then if you go to the last slide or the next slide. This is just proof, if you didn't already know, that inflation, this is the CPI, this is the percent change month over month. You can already see, look at where we were in September of 22 and look where we are today. So we've come a long way, and you may argue that, well, the interest rates haven't come back down that much. Well, they've come down from the mid to high 7s now into the high 6s. So we're working there, right? We're getting there. So it's just a matter of time before that really fully kind of comes through the market. You got to remember that shelter number, which is 43% of the inflation number, is going to take a few more months for it to work its way through. And as it starts to come down, you're going to see rates come down along with it, because inflation and interest rates go hand in hand.
All right. So, yeah, well, that's the news. Inflation is coming down, which obviously is good news. I didn't feel that at the pump yesterday. I went to fill up my tank, and I was like, $5 a gallon. I'm back to that crap.
I was at 4.24 over
Hey,
it.
I guess everyone else is blaming OPEC. You might as well do the same thing.
All right. Well, I blame Nick.
I was going to say 100%. I was going to say that would be awesome.
Yeah.
OPEC and I.
OPEC and Nick. All right, guys. Have a great one.
All right. You want to talk about your next mastermind, April 12th?
Yes, we do have the mastermind second Wednesday of the month. You can see it there. And if you want to join, we're happy to have you.
All right, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Enjoy Miami.
Is it your Emmy?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
That's your Emmy?
No,
Okay.
All right, I guess.
No, oh gosh.
I know. I tell Todd it's the same conversation week in, week
Year
out.
after year.
Leave the jokes to
Year
the
after year.
professionals.
I know. I don't.
That's right.
I don't.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. All right, let's jump into our three-pack. We talk about it all the time, and Nick and I talk about it all the time on our orientation. As real estate professionals, real estate agents, we are the CEOs of our own business. We are real estate entrepreneurs. And I remember going through the process in 2002 to get my real estate license, just like everybody else. 90 hours back then, it was required that you were there,
Yeah.
in the classroom, and took me 3 times to pass that stupid school test, but did it, and then took my national and state test, and then went down to the board and like, oh my gosh, now I got to go get refinance my house because I got to pay my dues and MLS and all this stuff. So all said and done. And I remember day one sitting at the office thinking, I hope nobody comes in here and asks me to help them buy and sell a house because I don't got a clue what I'm doing, right? So real estate school doesn't really teach us a lot about really how to run our business. So I wanted to talk about 3 different areas that might not be the norm. You don't often see classes in these areas, but things that we can study through, through books and podcasts and things like that. So the first one, I think it's really imperative that we as real estate agents really study the concept and the art of entrepreneurship, because that's what we do. Again, we are the CEOs of our own business. We are running our own business, and so I love to spend time, reading stories or watching. I watch a lot of documentaries about just successful entrepreneurs and business owners, because they often have the same story, the same path, 80, 90 hours a week, putting in just to get their business up and running. And you take a look, and I love to really examine and take a look at the things that they've had to overcome, because there's a story there's a message for us. And and I love studying stories about business creations. Where did businesses come from? Because again, that is what we do. And then I think, for a lot of agents, they go like, well, why wouldn't I study leadership? What would be the point of really becoming a really great leader? And I was thinking, as a team leader, I have 20 agents on my team, so there's obviously that pressure to be a strong leader. But we still have what we call our cabinet. We still have our loan officers. We still have our title reps. We still have all of these people that make our business run. And it's imperative that we learn how to lead.
Absolutely. A couple of things that came to mind was 3 Feet from Gold, Sharon and Greg's book, how the principles of exactly what we're talking about, executives, what are the leading executives across the world? That was a follow-up to Think and Grow Rich. And they found that there was a new equation in it, which I'm not going to ruin it for you. Go read the book. But again, that was a great book. And so when you think about looking at your real estate career, the biggest issue is the person you're looking at in the mirror. You don't need to worry about having a pretty office. You don't need to worry about having all the tools and the trade.
Because my office is a mess.
No, you don't. You need to, you basically have to constantly and fundamentally have to improve the person that you look at in the mirror every single day. And so leadership, though, which is the one I wanted to point in on, people think, oh, well, I'm not going to have a team. I'm not going to have, to manage people. If you don't understand leadership, you don't understand sales, because sales is leadership. You are positioning people to come to the realization of exactly what you would have loved to have been able to have told them all by themselves. And you have to put them in that position.
I mean, we could talk about this for a very long time. I think we said that a lot. This is a fantastic topic, but I mean, and I don't know what the other points are, Mike. You guys probably should have looked when you sent them over to me, but I think mindset is another really big deal. So if that's not 1, 2, or 3, but that goes in hand with leadership. Your mindset is what makes you that leader. And I think that's a really good point. A lot of agents don't understand getting into the business because there's different levels, right? Maybe you don't want to be a team leader. You don't want to do 50 to 100 transactions a year, and that's fine. But even if you're doing 5 a year, you are at the helm of those 5 transactions. People are putting their faith in you. And Todd, you said it, leadership is sales. You're telling people that you're going to navigate this incredibly difficult, complicated process for them. You have to have communication skills. You have to have mindset. You have to be able to lead people through this journey. And it's a big deal to look and read those things. And Todd, we talk about books all the time. There's a pretty common core after you read a handful of them. And so pick your favorite person that's out there writing books, and I just start kind of digging into it. And Audible is my favorite thing in the whole world. So you have time to read, listen to them while you're driving around. I know Mikey makes calls, but it's a great time for you to be able to listen to books.
Well, and I think you can also localize it. I know there's many agents that are part of business networking groups, whether it's a BNI or whatever the case is. And sometimes I think that we fail to see the true value. We look at these as
That's a good point.
lead generation
That's a really good
tools,
point.
which that's really the intent of them at the end of the day. But there's some incredible networking opportunities. I would, and I'm part of I'm part of a pretty large one. But I spend more time. I don't even necessarily go or participate to generate business because there's got to be about 3,200 other realtors in here
Yeah.
in this group. But it's the caliber of people, the caliber of the other business owners and entrepreneurs that are part of this group, and trying to schedule a lunch or a coffee and just hear their story. If
Yeah.
you know somebody who's a successful business owner, learn their story, and because again, there's a lot of stuff to learn from them. Number two is my favorite, is marketing. You are the chief marketing officer of your own company. I think this is one of the biggest areas where we as agents fail, because we might have gotten into this business, we may not have a marketing background, or we may not have somebody on our team that understands marketing, but you are the CMO of your own company. Don't just do what every other agent is doing. When you are doing what every other agent is doing, you are nothing but boring and average. And so you have to learn about marketing, and don't just use everything your title company gives you.
Right.
Because what your title company is giving you,
They're
they're giving
giving everybody
else. So don't be afraid to change the content and so forth. But whoever you're talking with, and I'm going to probably, Nick, get in a little bit of trouble here.
Okay, I give me a heads up.
Okay, yeah, I'm giving you a heads up right now. When we're having discussions with people, I guess maybe in title companies and lending companies, or whatever the case is, what is their marketing background? What is their marketing experience? Because just because I give you the title of marketing rep does not necessarily mean that you understand the ins and the outs and the ABCs of marketing. So spend time studying effective marketing techniques and strategies, and look what other companies are doing, and again, mastermind with other business owners and people who are marketing. As you guys know, Ryan and I we're getting ready to launch our podcast, and I'm telling you, there's a lot about marketing. I thought I learned, I thought I knew about marketing, but all of a sudden I'm now on TikTok. I don't even know what that is still, and I'm having to do this Instagram thing. I'm having to create this Linktree page, and I'm having to do all of these things that I'm definitely not as familiar with. But the team around me, the people that I've built relationships with who are
Absolutely.
running successful podcasts, that I can pick up the phone, and it's a couple times a week going, how do I do this? Or what are your thoughts on this? And what are your thoughts on that?
I love that, because two heads are better than one, three heads are better than two. It just makes total sense. But I'm going to take marketing here, and I'm going to take the part where you said just don't do everything everybody else is doing. I'm going to go back to leadership and tie it in, because if you're improving yourself, when you're in a room and there's 3,200 other realtors there, what are you saying when you open your mouth? Or does it start limiting the consumers who want to use you? This is one of those things. And this is just Todd, but Todd adopted years ago that in 2012 that I wanted everything to be about home ownership or about private property rights. And that's what I was going to start pining on. That's what I was going to start learning about and making sure I kept my consumers and my clients up to date on. Okay, that was my niche. But when I was in a room of people, Michael, and I opened my mouth and I started talking about why national flood insurance, why they need to call their politician and help drive that down the road, why they need to stop the transfer tax, why they need to do different things, all of a sudden you involve them and they say, wait a minute, that's not the same caliber person that I just talked to that wanted to list my house the other day. So from a leadership perspective, that's also leadership. When you open your mouth, what are you saying that's different, that's industry related, that's driving people to want to do business with you?
Yeah. And Nick, there's obviously, I know you love reading books in marketing. There's a lot of great stuff. So the latest book that I've been going through, and it actually has really made a huge impact for me, it's called This is Marketing by Seth Godin. And it's some of it's just a reminder of what I already know, but a lot of it is just really honing in and going, okay, I've I've really got to craft my message here. One of my other favorite books, I should have listed a couple of my favorite
Yeah, that
books
would've
on
been good.
here. Building Your Story Brand by Donald Miller was probably, I would say, the game changer for me. But there's a lot of great stuff out there, and it's an area that we as agents really don't explore.
There's a tremendous amount. Again, it's kind of picking what your passions are, what resonates with you. And that's, I think, a lot of realtors get into the paralysis by analysis situation when it comes to marketing. You can easily overthink what you're trying to do and get nothing out there. So the big thing and this is why, Gary Vaynerchuk is probably the one that I would focus on the most. He's a little crass, but he definitely gets the message
He's got
out.
a potty mouth.
A little bit, but it's just do it. Just yes. Every question you have, yes. Aaron Lacey, who was a title rep, I'm not sure where he's at now, but he's fantastic when it comes to technology and marketing. And he actually got interviewed by Gary, and he was asking him questions. And every time he asked a question, should I do this or should I do that? He just kept saying, yes, just go do it.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
overthink it. You'll figure it out as you go. And then people get to, again, walk on that path with you as you learn and you become that business. People that started with you earlier that caught on, they get to kind of see your evolution and they have more skin in the game, because that's what a lot of people want to work with today. They want to work with brands. They want to work with people. They don't want to work with giant corporations. They want a person who's got their like-mindedness in their business, and that's where you're going to see success when it comes to what you're marketing.
Yeah, and that's a great topic in itself. Start with, you could even Google it. How do I build a brand?
Yeah.
Am I just going to be an agent, or am I building a brand? What are the nuances to building a brand? And just again, I probably spend predominantly the majority of my reading time and studying marketing, because if the marketing isn't there, the message isn't there, then guess what's not there? The business is not there.
I think find your why, or find my why. Simon Sinek has written a couple of books on that topic, and that's a really big starting point for a lot of people.
All right, and then the third one I think is probably one of, if not the most important. You talk about the thing that they do not teach you in real estate school, that most of us do not have the training, and that's just simply in sales. Why we as agents aren't, taking classes and taking trainings on learning and mastering our craft when it actually comes to sales. And there's obviously tons of books and podcasts on the area of sales, but we, and sales is that next thing from marketing. You got to get the message out. But when you now have somebody on the phone, or you have them sitting across the table at a listing presentation, or you're sitting across the table of a potential buyer and you've got a buyer broker agreement in hand, or whatever the case is, or you're going through the process of showing homes. And I recently was working with a couple last weekend. I showed them some homes and put in an offer. Then we going through the counters, and then they started taking a closer look at the numbers, and they started flip-flopping. And I had to put my sales hat on and basically saying, listen, to Matt's earlier point, when rates drop, you're not getting this house for what we're going to get it for right now. Here are the numbers. And they're predicting home prices to go up by 24% over the next 5 years. So I'm just telling you, I'm not going to tell you what you have to do, but I'm just telling you, this is what's on the table. This is what you stand to lose, but it's part of sales. You got to learn how to sell.
Well, and for me, a lot of times the sales process is knowing whether you're successful. If what you're producing today, doing a particular activity, are you getting at least the average return? Because that tells me, all right, I got this. I'm either doing it and I'm getting average returns. Okay, I'm no better than anybody else. Or I'm doing it and I'm crushing it. And all of a sudden I got these numbers that are far better than whatever that benchmark is. Or I'm doing this activity that takes time away from my life, my family, every other thing, a better lead generating idea, and I'm way below the benchmark. So if you don't have an idea of what activity you're going to do and what you should be getting for a standard return, I don't know how you judge what you're doing.
I find it amazing, Nick. It's been several years, but every once in a while, I love going to a good old fashioned timeshare presentation. Watching them, and I'll call it manipulate. We're not here to manipulate our clients, but watching them take me from, I'm showing up with my feet dug into the ground. I am not walking out of here with a timeshare, and they know how to sell. Same thing. How many times we walk into a car lot and go, I'm not here to buy anything. And then next thing you know, we got a car.
I think that the big thing on the sales side is just what to say and how to say it. And
Yeah.
a lot of agents, again, it's that they get terrified to get on the phones or to knock on doors or to wear their name badge and have real estate related conversations because they just don't know how. I mean, we have teams and coaches that can teach you through that stuff, but we also have the Pro Start series. And I'll be completely honest, the feedback on Pro Start, I love it to death. It's a little bit old school. We're watching someone who's dressed in a 3-piece button-down suit that was cool back in 1994 talk about sales tactics, and he's got a rotary telephone and he's sitting at his kitchen table and he's making calls. Yeah,
But it's the same.
It's the same, and that's the point.
Basics didn't
Everything what he
change.
is saying, everything that he is teaching is sales. So if you're kind of sitting around and you're not 100% sure how to start that conversation, Pro Start happens every single month at West USA. We have lots of coaches, and there's a lot of people who will walk you through that process, but there's definitely ways to learn, and it's a learned thing. Sales is a learned thing. You have to, it's an attribute. It's not something you're born with.
Is learned a word?
I believe so.
Okay, I thought it was learned, but I'll go with learned. I'll go with you
Listen,
on
I was
that.
on a
What
roll,
was that
buddy,
thing
all
that was on Facebook recently? It said something like, it had something to do with it. Oh, geez.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's it.
move on.
Forget it. That's over.
And the
I had
last
it.
the last
Took
thing I'm
too
going
long.
to say about sales, especially in today's market, and I know on our team we spend so much time talking about how to overcome objections.
Mhm.
That really is what we have to perfect in our craft. When your client is doesn't want to jump in the game because rates are so high and they're fearful of the recession or they're fearful of inflation numbers or whatever the case is, part of sales, Todd, you got to know how to overcome those
Absolutely.
objections.
Yeah, totally agree.
Learn it is a word.
Learn it.
Yeah,
Boom.
It's
it is.
learned,
No, it is.
not
Yeah.
learn it.
It's right here. Learn it.
You can say it either way. You from Boston or you from Chicago?
It's got the thing that.
Okay. Anyways, Nick is our grammar king over here, so
That's scary.
fantastic. I can't wait for Friday the awards banquet to watch you just go up there and make up words. That's pretty much what I do. But if you say it with confidence, people buy it.
Exactly.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Sales 101, Mike.
Yep. That is our 3-pack, things that we should be learning about. We are excited to have one of West USA's top producers. Her name is Angela Williams, and I'm sure she is just, wanting to have jumped in during the 3-pack, because I'm sure you had a lot to say. But you're one of our top producers. So today we're going to kind of go through some of your secrets, some of your tips to your success. And so I just wanted to throw up here just a little bit of, so that everybody kind of has an idea of, okay, yeah, Angela is getting it done. Who's talking to me? But she was in 2021 Rookie of the Year, which is not an easy feat. Part of the President's Circle, top 3% producing agent in 21, top 2% in 22. And so award winning, obviously have got a lot of great things going, Angela. So welcome to the big show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's kind of jump into coaching.
Yes.
And participating in West USA's coaching program. And, you started a couple years ago. I started a lot longer.
Mhm.
But, we kind of all remember of, boy, now I'm in real estate. Now what do I do? And you went through the coaching program.
I did. Yes. So I started actually in September of 2020, which was probably not the best time to start as a realtor with the way the market was. But Sue Flokey is the one that kind of encouraged me to do the coaching program, and I just jumped on it. Lisa Lanham was my coach. She was fantastic.
She's amazing.
Yes, wonderful, amazing. I still call her sometimes. But she helped me through my first few transactions, kind of helped me with the time management piece. I still remember meeting her for coffee with one of my first clients, kind of walked me through all of that. She helped me with open houses, gave me materials that I couldn't afford to buy right away as a as a new realtor, open house signs and stuff, because I kind of added as I closed deals. I added to my inventory and stuff. But the biggest thing that I would say that was my favorite part of the coaching program was just always having someone that I didn't feel like I was bugging to answer my silly questions, stupid questions. There are no stupid questions, but what I felt like was a stupid question, she just could always answer for me and be there for me. So she helped me with my first few transactions, but honestly, even after that, we're still friends, and I still call her, I still text her, and it's just wonderful. I highly, highly recommend the coaching program.
I think it's a misnomer. I think we've been lied to all of our lives when they say there's no such thing as a stupid question. I have 2 teenage boys, and I can assure you, I hear stupid questions all the time, but ask them anyways. But now try to put yourself, go back in time and talk. What do you think it would have been like had you not had that support? You didn't have that coach, and now you're knowing what you know now about the business, because we have a lot of agents right now that are new to West USA, new to the industry. They're trying to figure. I always say this industry is not meant to be done alone. But knowing what you know now, what would that have been like, and where would you be today?
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know if I would still be a realtor today if I didn't do it, in all honesty, because it's so, especially at the time that I came in, it was so overwhelming. There were so many, even little things that I just didn't know how to do, whether it was creating a CMA and MLS, and, Lisa just literally getting on Zoom or meeting with me at the Goodyear office to teach me how to do those things. And don't get me wrong, everybody else in the office is helpful too, but it was her job, to help me. And so again, going back to, I didn't feel like I was bugging her, but it's overwhelming at first. It really is. And I think getting those first few transactions are the hardest. And then once you get those, the rest kind of falls into place. So in all honesty, I really don't know if I'd still be a realtor if I didn't have her.
Fair enough. Nick, how do we learn more about the coaching program?
You talk to your office manager or to the Sue Fluke, who's our director of coaching for West USA Realty.
All righty. So transaction coordinator, one of your tips. I love this because I am, time is money. And I think what people don't underestimate how many hours that they spend doing administration stuff during a transaction. We do on our team. We set up our calendars. We have red time and green time. You obviously have activities that are not money making activities that have to get done, but you have got to replace as much red time with green time as you can, because green time in our calendar are those money making activities such as prospecting, going to networking events, and so forth. And so you started early with a transaction coordinator. Walk us through that and how that has helped you in your business.
Yeah. So I actually did not have a transaction coordinator until this past year.
Okay.
And I think for everyone, it's different. For me, I'm glad I didn't do it right away so that I know exactly what she's doing for me. And I understand all of it. But at the same time, I wish I would have done it sooner too. I'm a busy mom. I have 3 kids. They're 8, 7, and 5. My husband's in law enforcement. My kids are busy. And so to be able to be a successful realtor while still managing my home life and what you were talking about with, green time, red time, all that type of stuff, this has just been honestly such a blessing. And now I was able to join a networking group this year, and I have more time to be with my clients, the part that I love, to be honest. I mean, I don't love the paperwork.
No one does.
No one does. Exactly. So, I mean, all these things you can see that she does for me. Every transaction coordinator is different. I know pricing is different and stuff too, but these are all the things that my transaction coordinator does for me, and it has just saved me so much time and energy. Honestly, in the parking lot before I came into this, I needed to get something done. I was like, I'm going into a meeting. Can you take care of this? She's doing it for me right now. So it's just, I highly suggest that as well.
And Nick, I know here at West USA, we have an incredible transaction coordinator team. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have Nicole Pickenpaw runs ours. I know that Dawn Stackhouse does a fantastic job as well. She's not an official part of our transaction department, but Dawn's great. But again, it's a great use of your time to work with one of our transaction coordinators or a transaction coordinator. If you're not going to use Nicole, definitely use somebody who's vetted and has experience. And again, you can get information from your office manager.
All right. So Angela, how hard was it the first couple deals to turn it over to a transaction coordinator? I know for me, I was a little late to the game with having a transaction coordinator, and it took me about 3 transactions, because every time I would call because our team, we have our own transaction coordinator, I would call her and like, Julie, did you do this? Julie, did you do that? She's like, Mike, I got it. Don't worry about it. Yes, I did that, but it took some time. Now I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was definitely a little hard at first. I got a little lucky in a way. I connected with Dawn somewhat on accident because I helped some clients buy a property in the White Mountains. And so somebody connected me with her because she was living up there at the time. She is back in the Valley now. But I got to kind of see how she worked through that transaction, even though she wasn't really my transaction coordinator. So that was nice. But it did take a few transactions to get used to it. But in all honesty, like you were saying, get a vetted transaction coordinator. She's been in the business longer than me, and she's actually taught me stuff too. So I trust her. I know she takes care of it for me, and we work very well together. So I think the biggest thing is finding someone that you work well with.
All right. So you have, these are some of your top apps.
Yep.
Some of them I'm not familiar with. So let's kind of run through some of these. Obviously, I think for the most part, most of us are familiar with Canva.
Yep.
But I don't know what Property Force is.
Yeah. Okay, so Canva, like you said, you guys, most of you know that. That's for creating flyers and all that stuff. I won't spend a ton of time on that one because I think it's a pretty popular one. And now that I have a transaction coordinator, she does most of that for me anyways. But I do still like to, kind of going back to what you were talking about with marketing and stuff, I still like to market myself too, and not just rely fully on her. You saw my logo on the first slide. Branding yourself, I think, is so important too. So I still want to have, that personalized touch to it. So that's where I use some of these other apps. Captions is a newer app that I started using that my marketing rep through my title company connected me with. And it's wonderful. If you check me out on social media, you can start to see some of the videos I've been doing more recently. If you go into captions, I wish I could just show you on there, but if you go into captions, you can literally type in buyer's market versus seller's market, and it will create a script for you. And then it will teleprompt you while you're reading that script. You can edit the script as you go, but it's wonderful. I know my stuff, but at the same time, when you're going to film it and, if you want to do it live on Facebook or social media or whatever, you get more nervous and you forget things. So Captions has been wonderful for me because it teleprompts it as well as writes it, and it saves me time so I don't have to write the script. So I know that's on iPhones. I don't know if it's on Androids and other phones, but I'm sure there's something similar if not. So, and CapCut is very similar, does a lot of the same stuff. It doesn't do the generating of scripts. A lot of times I'll create my videos in Captions and then go to CapCut to edit them because I like CapCut better for the editing pieces. Carl's mortgage calculator is just a mortgage calculator, but it's the one that I've found to be the closest to accuracy, I guess you would say. It's not going to be 100%, but I use it mostly when I'm literally out showing houses with my clients, and they're like, maybe a lot of times there's a house 2 or 3 doors down that we didn't even plan to look at, but then they're like, well, what would it look like on that price house? And I'll just pull it up really quickly if I can't get a hold of my lender, but just little things like that. So if it's not that one, find a mortgage calculator to have easily accessible for you with your clients. You asked me about Property Force.
Yeah, you are the way to build up the anticipation. I've been sitting here dying to find out what Property Force
Sorry,
is.
I'm like an order person.
Yeah,
I have to go in order. Property Force, I don't know if it will be available for all of you or not. That came from my title company. And so what I use, I think different title companies can sign up with it. I primarily use Landmark Title, but I primarily use it for seller's net sheets and buyer's net sheets.
Gotcha.
And it has all of their closing costs calculated into it and everything already. So again, if we're making an offer on a house and they want to know everything and we're sitting in the middle of the house, talking about the offer, I'll pull up Property Force, fill out the buyer's net sheet and show it to them or send it to them right away. I can email it to them and everything. So if you don't have access to that through whatever title company you use, ask them if they have something similar, I guess.
Yeah, I think most of them, what I know my title company does, and I think most title companies do. So definitely, and it's a great idea to be able to just write on the spot because I mean, that's one of the number one questions we're out showing homes. Okay, so if I buy this house at this price, how much cash do I need to come in?
Like?
What's it going to look like?
Exactly. And I love that it's an app. Like it's just easy to get to and stuff. And then the last one I didn't talk about yet, and I don't know if it's in here. I have another slide on it. It's WordBoard. This talking about saving time and stuff is wonderful for me. I'm at extracurricular activities with my kids every day after school. I'm out showing houses multiple times a week, and I'm getting messages from prospective clients asking me questions. So this is basically preloaded answers to very, common questions. And there's a lot more than I screenshotted in there, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea. You can create folders within WordBoard Home Partners is a rent to own program. I was using it a lot more about a year ago. I don't use it as much now, but in that folder, I've got, all the pre-screening questions. If somebody asks me, how do I qualify for rent to own? I just literally click that. It's on the keyboard. It's blank over here on the left because I had a video, but I don't think it'll work today. I screen recorded my phone showing you guys how to use it. If you go in to text somebody, and you know how you can change the keyboard to different keyboards, or will it work? Let's see if it'll work. Maybe not.
Nope.
No. Okay, that's all right. We'll get back to that. So when you change the keyboard, you just click word board, and then you would click on whatever, Facebook link, email, Divvy, whatever you want to send to the client, and it'll automatically send it to them. So it's just time saving for me. I'm working smarter, not harder, so that I can answer my clients quickly too, at least with, these common questions.
So I have an Apple or an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So when I open up to send a text to somebody, does whiteboard, is that an option?
Yeah, so the part where you can change your keyboard on the bottom, where you hold it down, you just press that button, and then wordboard will be an option. You click wordboard, and then you just literally click whatever you want to send them. And so it saves me so much time. I'm constantly adding things to it too as I start to,
And I'm constantly sending the same text every day to my friends. Hey, cocktails at 4.
Right? You can add that too.
I can add that too. This is amazing. I like this. All right, let's talk about your digital business card. I love digital business cards.
Yep. Again, just trying time saving too. I mean, I keep my paper business cards on me, but I love this for a lot of reasons. It's easy to send. I sign every text message with the link that I send with this. The link is also in my Wordboard, so I can literally go to Wordboard and click digital business card, and it sends the link. And you can't see the whole thing here, but below this, when you scroll down in the digital business card, it's going to have a link to my Facebook page. It's going to have my email address, my phone number, the YouTube page, whatever I want to add to it. You should be able to scan that QR code to see a copy of my digital business card, which would then prompt you to be able to download your own through Hi Hello, which is a free app.
Oh, so that was going to be my next question. So this is free.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and I love it too because I do a few other things on the side, and so I have my business card for that as well in there, and it just pops up on the same screen, and you can click which one you want to send. And also I'm out talking to people, and they ask for my business card. Even if I have my paper one on me, a lot of times I'll be like, I don't have it on me, but can I get your phone number? I'll text you my digital one.
That's what I like. That's exactly what I do. I was somewhere the other day, and I was going through a gated community, and they were in Greyhawk, and they're like, you got to have a business card. I'm like, I don't have one. I don't carry business cards. So now I got to always have one on me for that just in case moment. All right. So digital. All right. So I'm doing that today. All right, so you're okay. So writing offers right now, a little bit easier than it was a year ago, but I love the idea of you sending a letter to the other party, introducing not just your buyer, but introducing you, because at the end of the day, we as listing agents, we do have influence on sellers, and there's oftentimes, and I don't try to influence them to go one way or another, but the communication and whether I know that other agent or whether I want to work with that other agent, it goes a long ways, especially when we're sitting at two offers that are pretty much identical.
Yep, absolutely. So like you said, it's a little easier right now. I still use this on every offer, but I came up with it when things were crazy. And if you read it, I'm really just introducing myself, who I am as an agent, and how I work as an agent. I will respond before 7:30 a.m. or after 7:30 p.m. most times, but at least by putting that out there, they know that I'm going to get back to them ASAP within those hours. And if for whatever reason I don't, they know I'm going to get back to them by 7:30 the next morning. So they know kind of how I work and stuff. Providing updates to the cooperating agents once a week. I always copy my lender on all our offers. It's just a way to stand out, in all honesty. I'm really not saying anything super special in this, but they're going to remember it. And again, it's like you said, like when you're comparing two similar offers, and maybe, one agent didn't even, sometimes I get offers and they copy me from DocuSign, and that drives me nuts. Like they don't give an introduction from the agent, or don't text to follow up. You just want to be that agent that stands out help your buyers get their offer accepted.
So is this part of, I mean, are you sending your offers through Transaction Desk, or are you downloading them and then sending
Downloading it and sending an email with an introduction, summarizing.
So is this part of the PDF itself, part of the offer itself?
Yep. Absolutely. So, and again, I started it when, 2020, 2021, when things were super crazy. I know, a lot of buyers were asking me about them writing letters, and we all know that's a sore subject, but
not for me.
But
but I'm not a broker.
Right, there you go. But at least like by doing this, like we're still doing something that's making our offer stand out. And so, and I've had multiple agents tell me they chose our offer, not necessarily because of this letter, but just the way we presented it or the way I was communicating with them. And they felt like we were going to be easier to work with.
All right. So let's talk about postcards. So tell me about, what system you use for postcards and what's your thought process on postcards.
Yep. I don't do them all the time. I do them for very specific things. My title company helps me with my postcards. So you can talk to yours or a Vistaprint or whatever. There's lots of options out there. You'll see in a few slides that I focus really heavily on marketing my own neighborhood. So I live in Goodyear in Sedea. And so when I first started, I just was loud and proud about being a realtor in my own neighborhood. So you'll see that one, Sedea Solds. Those are all the transactions that I sold in 2021 that were my neighbors in my own neighborhood. So, and that was my first full year in real estate. So I had 3 listings in the neighborhood and 1 buyer in the neighborhood. So at the end of 2021, I sent that out to every person in my neighborhood. And you can see, actually, I didn't do that on purpose, but the other postcard is a neighbor's son's house that I sold in another neighborhood, but his mom gave the information to him because she's one of my neighbors and she knew I was a realtor. So I will do just sold. I'll do coming soon. I primarily use them with my listings or my own neighborhood. That's pretty much where I use them.
All right. So do you do any just like regular canvassing of your neighborhood, or do you just focusing on just kind of the just listed, just sold stuff?
As far as postcards, that's really all I've done. But I am the moderator for my neighborhood Facebook page. And you'll see in a few slides too, I'm going to talk about a lot of community events and stuff that I do. So I'll get back to that in just a second since we have this slide up right now.
All right. So so that's always one of the top questions I get, especially for newer agents. What do you give for client gifts or appreciation and so forth? So these are obviously some examples of some things that you put together. Walk us through how you determine who gets what.
Yeah. So this is not necessarily how I started, but going back to branding myself, when I first started, I knew I wanted to have something for my clients that they would always remember me by. My logo was on. Originally, I was doing these homemade cookies for all my clients with my logo on them. But obviously, as I became more successful, I tried to kind of get bigger and better with it. So I use a lady with Salty Charm Designs. She is on Instagram. She is wonderful. She used to be a realtor, so she understands the business. And she makes these custom baskets for me. So kind of depending on price range, rent to own versus buying, there's different size baskets. Sometimes I'll make the basket myself, but just ask her for a cutting board or a sign. You can see there's some kids signs in here for some of my clients that have kids. Anytime my clients have kids, I make sure that they get something in the basket too. So that's what those, name signs and stuff are. And then I try to customize them to the client. The bottom middle one, you can't see it very well, but it says the chick in, no vacancy. That client the thing she was so excited about the house she was buying was that she was going to have a chicken coop. And so I was like, I got to get her a sign. So just make them something that, they'll remember you by.
All righty, and so we have a few more examples
and
here.
And those ones are renters and 1-year anniversary gifts too.
Oh, 1-year anniversary gifts, good. All right, community events.
Yes. So that's what I kind of started to tap into earlier. As far as my community goes, I do Grinch photos every year that are free for everyone in my neighborhood. This past year, we actually turned it into a vendor event. So we had a bunch of vendors and food trucks and stuff as well. And we collect toys for Tots. And then we also do an Easter event. We actually just did this year's yesterday. So I send these out to the neighbors. I post them on Facebook. We create events. I hang them on all the mailboxes. We probably had 200 people out yesterday in my neighborhood park for Easter Bunny photos. So that's a big way that I'm just giving back and doing something for my community, but making sure they know who I am.
How are you processing when people show up? How are you determining who's there, collecting information? Walk me through the follow-up.
Follow up with the people
People who
that show up.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I make it more about just the community event itself. I don't really make it too much about marketing, but I do, like, every time you can see me holding that basket there with the Easter bunny. The kids all get one of those when they take a picture. It's got my business card in it and everything, and I hand them out. And then it just natural conversations come up from it. I mean, I probably talked with at least 5 people yesterday about my real estate business.
All right. So coffee with I love this. So getting in the schools.
Yes. My neighborhood school here. And so, yes, my school does coffee with the principal once a month, and they're always looking for people to sponsor it. So that's exactly what I did. They introduce you and thank you in the beginning as well. So you get an opportunity to speak for a few minutes. Literally just donated donuts and coffee to the neighborhood school for this event. But again, just giving back and getting my name out there.
All right, we're before we talk about Goal Tracker, I didn't see a slide, and maybe I deleted it, but you did talk about your neighborhood Facebook group. I'm a huge fan of it, and for some agents, they go, oh well, there's already a Facebook group, in here. It doesn't matter. You don't need everybody in it.
Exactly.
You need some people in it, and you got to have a strategy for it.
Exactly. So yeah, so our neighborhood Facebook group is used for a ton of things, but I put in my weekly weekenders that I get from I do get that one from my title company. That's probably the main thing I get from my title company that I do use religiously. The rest I create myself for the most part. But yeah, I put that in there. Just always like helping them out with referrals that aren't even related to me, just being somebody that's helping and someone that they remember and they can rely on. But yeah, it's just, I think when you create that group, it's just about, I keep saying it over and over. You want people to know who you are. And so, yeah, Facebook groups are wonderful.
All right, and yeah, we probably need to do another 3-pack or another lesson on that. All right, so Goal Tracker. Going back to our 3-pack, we talked about being real estate entrepreneurs. We talked about being the CEO of our own companies. I know no one. I mean, no one that's ever started a business that didn't understand the numbers, didn't understand the budget, and didn't have goals set in mind. And I don't know why it is on our end. A lot of agents either they flat out they don't have any specific goals in mind,
Yep.
and if they do, they're not tracking them,
Mm-hmm.
or they just throw out a number.
Yep.
Okay, so how many transactions you want to close this year? This is your first year in real estate. I want to do 108. Okay, okay. I do too.
Right.
Walk me through it. But I love the fact not only have you set your goals, but you're tracking them.
Yes. I'm a very visual person. And this is actually pinned on my bulletin board right in front of my desk. And I physically highlight it as I go, because there's something about, coloring in that house and raising up the goal tracker on the right. It just keeps me on track too. And I try to set my, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and so on goals as well. And my goals are based on previous years. What did I do last year? What do I want to do this year? This was not my goal my first year, I promise you. But it is my goal now. So I have these files. I can share them if anybody needs them. But it's just, for me, when I sit at my desk every day and it's staring at me, it just motivates me.
How much time are you taking a look? Like for me, I don't have anything as cute and pretty as this, other than Nick over here. We have our goals,
Yeah.
and I'm constantly looking at them. When I say constantly, probably monthly, and assessing where I'm at. And if I'm not on pace of going, okay, what am I doing? What am I not doing?
Yep.
Because it's more than just throwing up a number, but how much of a process is that for you in assessing where you're at and what you need to change or whatever the case is?
Yeah, I think it's about, taking time, whether it's reading books and personal development, to figure out what you can do better to hit those goals. If I'm not exactly where I need to be, then I need to figure out, do I need to get on social media more? Do I need to make more videos? Do I need to make more client appointments? Do I need to do another event? There are times where I don't have to do much because it's just naturally happening because of work I've done even in previous years. So I truly believe even that where I am today, a lot of my clients that I've got even this year are clients that maybe I started talking to a year or two ago also that weren't ready then. That's why you saw I give rental client gifts also. I don't do a ton of rentals, but I never say no to them either because they're future clients. And so just sitting there and thinking about what's next and what I can do better.
All right, Angela, this was really, really good stuff. I love it when people come with actual tools. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela.
congratulations to your success. And they always say, that they're truly in this business. There's no such thing as luck. It takes strategy. And we look at top producers and we think, oh God, they're so lucky. If I could only be as busy as them, but it doesn't happen. It takes strategies and specific things that you must do. And Angela, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we leave everybody with the quote of the day. It is never too late to be what you might have been. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Go out and sell a home.